Welcome, everybody, to the R&R CatCast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R CatCast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley, and I'm here with my good buddy, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. We're brought to you by the Bobcat Collective. If you're passionate about supporting Bobcat athletes, visit bobcatcollective.com today to learn more and sign up to be a member for as low as $25 a month. Thorny, I did the $25 a month. Super simple. Memberships not only supports Montana State student athletes, but also provides great perks for members, including exclusive access to events, behind the scenes content, and more. For businesses, we also offer corporate sponsorships, providing a unique way to promote your brand through the power of the athlete and the collective. Join us in making an impact and elevating the Bobcat community. Go to bobcatcollective.com today and make sure to mention the R&R. Thorny, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. All right, it's February of next year. What shirt are you buying from the NIL Collective? Who you getting?
Rohan.
That's a fantastic answer. I don't think I have a better answer than that. Of all like such a good group of guys right now, but like he's the only one who's not really a senior. Maybe Taco. I could do a Taco. I don't have Taco.
They sent me, like I said, I joined with that $25 a month. I was like, yeah, I can do that. That's easy for me right now in my life. They sent me a sweet hat. It says Bobcat Collective, nice hat.
Nice.
And my son stole it, and he took it to school and got some good comments. Bobcats coming up Bobcats, as we like to say. So he's making fashion statements over here in Spokane, in the elementary schools. So thank you, Bobcat Collective. Love that hat. Hopefully I can wear it. I don't think I will be able to. My son's
gone.
Yeah.
It's a hot commodity in the Foley household.
Anyways, that's cool. Yeah. Hey, man. Whoop down. V's down. We just took it to the Vandals. Week 14, 14-0. Apparently, we only play the Vandals when it's multiples of 7. We did it on the 7th week. Whoop down. V down then. And Redux just this past weekend, man. Quarterfinals.
I guess we'll find out if next year is 7 games after this last game.
Yeah. Just quickly, just want to read off. If I told you these were our scores in the last couple of weeks, 34-11, 49-17, 52-19, you'd probably think we'd be playing the early slate of our season. No. We're going into the semifinals. Just cooking, buddy.
Yeah, we were kind of joking around. It kind of feels, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but it feels like we're just playing like we're winning, like we're playing Stetson or Maine. It's like we're just pummeling teams again. And it's like, it's exciting. It's the playoffs, and these are nationally ranked teams. But man, what kind of content does it make for podcasting? We're just beating the snot out of everybody. Other than it's fun to beat the snot out of everybody.
I've come to the firm conclusion that Coach Vegan is made for December football. That guy's he has everything going for her.
We asked so many times through the season, have the Cats peaked? And I kept thinking that we hadn't. I want to say you thought you were wondering maybe if we had. I don't know. Clearly we hadn't. Clearly, we've gotten better and better and better. There might have been a little lull at a point, but we're cooking right now, man. And we're cooking without some of our dudes. That's the insane part. We're cooking with Adam Jones running the show, period.
That is impressive. The whole double rep system. Here's what it is, too. It's building through high school ranks. Montana State has done a tremendous job at recruiting, keeping the guys, building depth, and not just relying on transfers and the portal like well, let's just call it what it is, the Grizzlies, right? I mean, you look at their team; they're reliant on bringing in quite a few of the guys from the portal every season. That's looks a lot different and feels a lot different than what we got going on over here.
I mean, that's the benefit of the Montana school system, the feeder system to the Cats and the Grizz. It's like you should be able to have a good group of high school guys at all times. It's kind of blowing up in Missoula a little bit right now, but in general, that's an advantage for the Montana schools in the FCS level. And a lot of the core guys, all 7 of the touchdowns were all Montana guys, accounted for by Montana guys at Idaho. That's crazy. It's
That's an
impressive.
interesting stat. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's Adam Jones, Taco, and Tommy.
Yeah.
And somebody was asking, like, has it ever happened before? I'm not sure I ever got or heard an answer on that. I can't imagine it really has, not at Montana State.
No. The reason why we're having such great success right now is not only just our depth, but our depth on the lines. The FCS, by far, you look at the 4 teams remaining, what do we have in common? A physical brand of football that is won in the trenches. Montana State's defensive line, Montana State's offensive line. I think Montana State has the best offensive line in the nation, to be echoed by a lot of people playing us, including Coach Eck, who played Oregon. Our defensive line, and Thorny, we talked about this a little bit this year. We're not only deep on the floor, or we're not only like really talented on the front four, the depth behind that is almost as good. We lost a couple of our star players, right? Sebastian Valdez, Blake Schmidt goes down early on. So we might not have that top tier talent outside of like Brody Greavy. You know, you could probably put Kenneth Iden in there. But I'm talking like defensive tackles and whatnot. We just have a lot of really good dudes. Alex Eckert, Zach Black, Paul Brott. Look at the maturation of Paul Brott this year, right? Good job, Coach Howe, seeing that through from him coming in
His
as a
emergence has
freshman.
been key. Let's talk. I want to
Yeah,
talk a minute about that. Like with Schmidt going down, Brott has stepped up and been all that in a bag of chips. I'm going to bring that saying back for some inexplicable reason.
all these guys we're talking about though were developed by Montana State. They weren't transfers in. They're not stopgaps. And not to say those guys can't help out, but this is what Montana State is doing and why we are so good right now is because we have built the depth through recruiting the high schools at a great level. Montana State's winning the recruiting battles in the state and probably in the Pacific Northwest. And it shows, man. It's awesome. Good job, Montana State.
Good job, Vegan and staff. And I don't know who's the recruiting coordinator. We have one, right? I don't know who it is, but regardless, the whole staff is doing a great job recruiting.
Used to be Daly. I'm not sure he is now that he's taken his role.
Oh, it's a younger guy who went to like. Did he go to the Bears? Was there a guy who went straight to the Bears?
The Bears.
Why does that sound familiar? But regardless, loving it.
All righty. Well,
nice and it's fun to still be playing during the portal window. I think it pushes some of it down anyway. It's going to happen, right? Guys are going to put their name in the portal when the season's over, but we don't have to worry about that just yet.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. But that's not the conversation for today.
No. We're 14-0, baby. That's the conversation.
Gosh, 14.
One of the last 4 teams in the country playing football. That's the conversation.
Hey, let's cheers to that, buddy. 14-0.
14-0.
All right, buddy. Let's talk about what's in our golden coolies.
And now Bobcat fan.
There it is. I wasn't ready to hit it. What's in your golden coolie? This is brought to you by Wilbur Ellis. Go see Shea Richter and Company up in Fort Benton for all your farming and fertilizer needs. Fully, I don't have a lot of beer left in my fridge, and I didn't want to drink a Missoula beer tonight. It just felt wrong. So I still have some cold smoke. I got a Stella, classic old Stella, green bottle. Fits funkily into the coolie, but that's all right.
How's it fit in that coolie?
Funkily.
All right.
It's too loose.
I was picking up some stuff at Trader Joe's today, which is an interesting story. I'm a big fan of Trader Joe's, but not a big fan of crowds, but they go hand in hand. And Picked up this beer called Gato Grande. Big cat. Gato Grande.
Gato Grande.
Mexican dark lager made over
Ooh.
by kind of halfway between us, Thorny, Ellensburg. You know, Ellensburg is a brewery that does like Irish Death and all the
Well, yeah, the
Death
Iron
beers.
Horse. Yeah,
Yeah, or Iron Horse. Is it? Yeah, is that what I said? I said
you
something
said
else.
Ellen. You just said something with the brewery. I don't think you said. I don't think you said the name of a brewery.
Oh, sure.
You
Yeah.
just said Ellenberg.
So I was like, I have to pick up this beer. We have plenty of beer in the household right now, but I was like, Big Cat. Of course, I got to pick this beer up for
That's
for him.
perfect. Look at that. Fully putting in the effort to make a statement with the name of this beer. Love it.
It's like a young Foley trying to make a concerted effort for debuting an interesting beer on the
Back when you
CatCast.
cared.
Do you remember when you used to actually post our beers and tag the breweries?
Yeah, I got lazy this year. I just kind of gave up on that. I was like, you know what? I'm just not doing that anymore. It's too much work. Because I wouldn't remember what you drank, and I have to text you like, "What did you drink?" Or then I'd have to, like go listen back to our podcast and like fast like that. I was like, I'm just done. I'm done with that for a little bit. Take a little break ski.
Mm.
I said break ski. I did it.
I like dark Mexican lagers. It's not as good as Modelo Negra, though.
I was gonna
No,
say
definitely not.
Modelo Negro. Is that what comparison comp?
Yeah, I think that's what they call like a Vienna lager. Uh, yeah, really good. It didn't have any limes in the fridge, but
Yeah.
it's good, buddy.
I
Big
don't
Cat.
think the dark
Big
ones
Cat
need the
lager.
limes though.
I think they should just call it Big Cat lager. That would have been even better. But no, I guess if I was Hispanic, it would be just the same. Gato Grande.
Gato.
Gato.
El Gato.
Dos
All right.
gatos.
Let's move on to talking about the gatos. Is gatos plural for gato? I don't know any Spanish. But anyway, let's move
Los
on.
gatos. All right. Want to talk about? Well, we can go a couple different ways. Normally, we talk about what Coach Vegan's presser and what he's wearing, or do you want to go into stats right now?
Oh, let's keep our same order we normally do. Let's do the presser.
All right. Let's
It's
talk
actually
about.
now I'm gonna hit the wrong button. I'll probably hit the Cooley button now.
And now, Bobcat fans, it's
Nice.
time for F&F Fashion Watch, brought to you by Foley and Fisher, the only two that seem to really care what Brent Vegan is wearing at his press conference.
All right. Thank you, Russell. Coach wore a different Navy suit in his patent plaid style, a deep navy tie with a simple blue crosshatch, a white shirt with subtle gray stripes, no pocket square, no baloney.
Beautiful.
He had a lot of lines going on, a lot of right angles and corners. He's wearing a lot of lines today. It was hard to describe, but it came to me. It flowed. He's looking good. I like when he goes blue on blue. That is one of his best looks. What I mean by that is suit and tie. And yes, he is. He's looking pretty dapper. Oh, there's my cat. All right.
Cat taking up the screen. El Gato. No, what's the name of the beer?
Los Gato.
Gato Grande.
She's a small cat. She would be a pequeño gato. No, pequeño gato. All right.
Bringing the people the good content.
Yeah, he didn't have much to say. I mean, he went 40 minutes, which is his longest this year. So you'd say he probably has a lot to say, but in his veganese, as I like to call it lately, he did not have a lot to say. Injury front, he did say everybody should be available. We saw the depth chart come out today. Everyone was looking, is Scotch going to play? Is Rohan going to play? Is Balder going to play? All of that was answered in his press conference. Everybody's available. Now, whether or not those guys are actually the number one and that's going to hold true, well, you just have to wait for the Victor Flores tweet 30 minutes before the game and cross your fingers that it's not something horrible, because I hate to say it, like Victor's like the bearer of bad news when we all kind of sweat when that thing comes through.
Yeah, but I have my Twitter alerts pretty much anytime Victor tweets anything that I get a little notification on my phone. So before game time, I'm like, oh, great. Who's not playing? Who's on the sidelines in street clothes today?
Yeah. I'm sure Victor knows his role there, but he's kind of a running joke. Not his work, his
Just
his
the
unfortunate
doom
tweet.
tweets, but
Yeah, the doom
obviously
tweet.
he's not doing anything to produce these issues. He's just a middleman, he's a reporter. Doing his job.
Victor Flores creating palpitations in male hearts since 2021 or something like that. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going off the rails today. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, I didn't write down many notes from the presser. You talked a little bit about South Dakota, and I know you've done a little bit of research, so I'm gonna let that just ride. He's just stoked, man. I think he led in with a statement, "I'm thrilled to be playing football in December 16th." I'm just gonna start calling this guy Mr. December.
Mr. December. I could go with that.
Reggie Jackson was Mr. October. Coach Vegan's Mr. December.
Now, did you get a sense from watching him? I remember you'd mentioned, was it last week or maybe it was leading up to the Grizz, whatever presser you watched them, and you got seems like you had the idea from his body language that he thought we were gonna roll. What was his tone? How did you feel his confidence level from his nonverbal language? Perhaps
reading the veganese.
Yes.
Yeah, he was really even keeled today. He wasn't as surly when talking about Idaho. What I mean by that, like there's this subtleness in his surliness, and you're like, oh yeah, Coach Vegan's mean in business. I think he has a lot of respect for Coach Nielsen over at South Dakota, and just the program that they have become. You can tell he holds them in high regard. That's what I took from it.
Is it Bob Nielsen, right? He's the coach.
I'm not sure his first name.
Pretty sure it's Bob. Anyway, he won the Missouri Valley Football Conference Coach of the Year. So we are going up against the Coach of the Year, and they have the Defensive Player of the Year. So they got some accolades for some of their players and coaches. We'll get into, a little bit more in our previous segment.
What is with the domes? Why is there so many domes over there? And all the domes are right around the same age, I kind of feel like.
Well, it's pretty brutal part of the country to be playing football outside in December.
Yeah, I guess so. Was it like something that was in vogue in like the 80s or 90s when that was built? Probably 70s, maybe?
Brookings, South Dakota State still plays outside.
Did you watch any of that game on Saturday? It looked terribly cold.
No, it looked awful.
Yeah.
They should have a dome.
Yeah.
Like there's just certain parts like, all right, well, if it's like 0 degrees and windy and the turf is always frozen solid, maybe a dome wouldn't be the worst idea.
I don't think they had 5,000 people there.
So this is going to be a unpopular take. Cat fans need to just chill out with the ribbing of the other team's attendance. I've seen it all over Twitter, all over Facebook. Oh, you guys can't get anyone to come to your game. Oh, look at that empty grandstand. It doesn't matter, man. The football team's what matters.
It does matter, Thorny.
Why does it matter?
Why doesn't it matter?
We're just turning into Grizz fans after all these years about smack talking attendance and stadiums. We're just becoming what we used to hate fully. Smack talking South Dakota State because they only have 8,000 fans.
Doesn't make us Grizz fans.
It's not a good look. IMO. What's the point? Like, what's the point of smack talking North Dakota State for only having 13,000 fans at their game? Like,
what's the point? Is the fact that I don't know what the math is, but who's won the last 10 national championships? It's either been North Dakota State or South Dakota State. There's really two options. If you're an elite program, you should have more than 5,000 fans there.
This is the FCS, man. Is what it is. We are an outlier. By
the way, did you see that the video of the drone? Not the ones going over New Jersey right now.
The Jersey drones.
But the one that the Montana State media put out where it shows like the fireworks.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Oh man. That's so sweet. It was so good.
I love our media department. We've talked about them, but man, they're putting out some good content, and the team is given good content for the media department, and so are the fans. Man, it's all just connected and fun.
I think that is something that we don't talk about enough is probably the importance of that media content. How it engages you and I living out here in Spokane, how it makes alumni feel, how some kid, a 3-star recruit sitting on his bed in Texas sees that and goes, "Dang, I got a letter from those guys." That is so powerful on so many levels.
It matters. How much? I don't know, but it matters that they're
Oh, a ton of
you have to be putting stuff out. Otherwise, you're just falling behind. And MSU's killing it.
Yeah.
That's what the kids want these days.
That's what I want.
That's what those 6,000 some odd kids in the transfer portal are looking for. Goodness.
Okay. Do you think, here's a question for you, Thorny. Do you think Montana State will announce any kind of transfer portal offers before all this is over this season?
I don't think Montana State will. A player might, maybe.
Do you think Montana State's, so better question, do you think Montana State is offering players right now?
They should be.
That's fair.
It should be. Where they are or not. I mean, you got to be recruiting 24/7, man.
We got legions of fans out there reporting on Bobcat Nation and nothing's coming up.
Right.
I mean, we see a ton of things like Logan Fife, but nothing will
yeah.
Like the exodus that's happening right now with Idaho and Coach Eck leaving and all those stud players, Jack Lane, Dwyer, Alfalfa or whatever the guy's name.
Alfalfa.
What's his name? I'm not like the guy from who is Alfalfa?
From Little Rascals?
Little Rascals, there you go.
With the hair?
Yeah. Foul, or whatever his name. I cannot even say it. But anyways, what I'm trying to say.
The Woman Haters Club? Or whatever.
He-Man Woman Haters.
We are going off the rails.
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I'm just going to say, like, all those guys going into the portal, you would think Montana State would be sending out some invites. Hey, come play with us.
I wonder if they're sending them out and just telling guys not to announce them, maybe.
Yeah, that could be true.
I can imagine. They just don't want anything taken away from what's going on or any distractions or I don't know. I
could think of
good question.
Probably 2 players we took from the portal last year. Alex Eckert and Ryan King.
I mean, Rohan Jones, right?
Oh, there's 3.
I guess he was a grad transfer. I'm not sure if you put him in the portal or not. I don't know if he ever went in the portal. I don't know how those things work. If you're a grad transfer, you don't have to go in the portal. I don't know. But yeah, there's 3 transfers that are pretty big impacts. No Ryan King, lesser so, but still, he went. Did he get hurt in Idaho?
Not that I was aware of. Coach Fegan did say we came out pretty healthy.
That's what he says.
No.
You and I are skeptical.
Our whole text group is like, yeah, man, this sounds awesome. Everybody's going to be ready to go. And you and I are like, maybe. Just pump the brakes there, boys.
I know you're texting all sorts of negative, like, no, he's not going to play. And then I'm like, I want to argue with Foley, but he's probably right. So I didn't need to say anything because anyway.
Zach sending me like Eeyore memes. It's like, dude, we've seen this before.
I don't want to get my hopes up that Scotty Humphrey's back there and then he just announced that at the last second he's not playing. I just have it down in the cockles, right? I hate it. I need
a healthy Scotty, a healthy Adam in the same semifinal in the same game. Just again, I would love that. Has it been that way since Davis? Yeah, since Davis, and then Scotty goes down during Davis.
I feel we need Humphrey against the Dakotas.
We need a guy that can run A gap or B gap and get
Yes.
yards. Adam Jones is not that guy. Not right now.
Adam Jones
And-
isn't. Garrett Kuhn's not.
No.
I
and
feel
for
like
some
Jared
reason-
White's better than those two guys at that, but they're not. Whatever reason, Jared White's not playing anymore.
It's almost like Ontario Latin Henley has taken the place of Jared White on the depth
A
chart.
little bit.
Yeah.
Just a logjam of running backs. They're all good, but only two of them can run up the gut and get you tough yards, and that's Guthrie Humphrey and Julius Davis. And hopefully Humphrey's back, because Davis is not going to be back. That I'm pretty confident of. We've heard nothing. Again, disclaimers, we're just fans. We do have a couple random sources here and there, but I haven't heard anything about actually Julius Davis. I think he's just, I don't know. It looks bad to me.
Looks like Rohan and Julius are having themselves like a sweet old time on the sideline still.
Clowns, right? Or at least Rohan Jones is a clown, according to Brent Vegan.
It's true. Yeah, he was all over the jumbotron that game. UT Martin. All right, let's get into some stats. buddy.
Stats.
Let's do it.
We are just killing it tonight. All right. Stat segment is brought to you by Pronghorn Wealth Management. If you haven't looked at the stats on your company's 401k since the last time Bobby Houck was relevant, reach out to Kendall at Pronghorn Wealth to benchmark your current plan fees. All right. The Bobcats take care of the Vandals. V's down. V's way down. 52-19. 52 points, Foley. Just let that sink in for a moment. The first meeting was 38-7, right? That was the first meeting?
Yes.
Oh, we'll talk more about this. I got some stuff to say on that. But this is just the stat segment. All right. 20 first downs for the Bobcats, 17 for Idaho. Cats 11 of 15 on third down. That's going to win you a ton of football games. And especially when you hold your opponent to 2 of 10, which Idaho was only 2 of 10. And classic Jason Eck went for it 5 times on fourth down and converted one of them. The Bobcats were actually 1 of 1 on a fourth down. That's not even ringing a bell. I don't remember when we went up for it on fourth down. Cats end up with 457 total yards of offense, 174 through the air on 12 of 19 passing for 9.2 yards per pass with an interception, and 283 yards on the ground on 53 attempts for 5.3 yards per carry. It's crazy when you start looking at the stats. They look a lot better for Idaho, but I don't know how much of this was in garbage time. But they had 407 yards of total offense, 264 through the air on 23 of 36 passing for 7.3 yards per pass and an interception thrown as well. 143 yards on the ground. And here's kind of the big stat. 23 carries. They only ran the ball 23 times. They were averaging 6.2 yards per carry, but ended up with just 143 yards. 3 penalties on Idaho for 25 yards and only 2 penalties on the Cats for 20 yards. So penalties were not really a factor in this game at all. Idaho turned the ball over 2 times with the previously mentioned interception, and also they lost a fumble. And then the Cats threw the interception. Tommy Watt threw an interception, and he got lucky. He didn't throw one more. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point as well. Cats dominated the time possession, and they did from the very get-go. 38 minutes and 51 seconds to 21 minutes and 9 seconds. That is lopsided.
It is lopsided. Some of those stats weren't as lopsided, but yes, I was just looking. Marley, so my cat. Sorry.
Oh, gato.
Los gatos. You have to leave. Okay. Yeah, some of those stats weren't as lopsided, but I was just looking at the drive chart. Like Idaho in the fourth quarter had a 14-play, 73-yard drive, 5 minutes, 45 seconds off the clock. And then we went 3 plays thereafter, 5 yards, almost got a first down. Didn't. We could have just ended the game, but then they did 9 plays, 30 yards. So yeah, they got quite a few chunk plays at the very end. So here's some more interesting stats for you, Thorny. Let's see. In the red zone, Idaho was 2 for 3. And that's pretty good for Montana State. Normally, like when the other team gets down in the red zone, they've had some pretty good success against us. We were first 7 for 7, so that's better. They did not sack Tommy Malott, and we had 3 sacks for 17 yards. They had 2 field goals, 2 for 2. We were 1 for 1, a 46-yarder. Go Miles. I'm not sure what the SD stat I wrote down is. What does SD mean to you as far as football goes?
South Dakota.
Oh, yeah. There is that is not a stat. That is another note. I'm like, what the heck is that? Okay, let's talk about some personal stats. Tommy, 12 for 18, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had 14 touches on the ground for 131 yards, 1 touchdown with the longest 63 that just crushed the Vandals' hopes of doing anything after that. Adam Jones barely missed the century mark, 23 touches, 98 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 catches for 66 yards. When's the last time we've seen an Adam Jones wheel route? It has been a while.
Been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
It's coming.
I think that is something when he had Scottree back in the mix, we would do more often. Interesting thought. Colson Kuhn, 10 carries for 44 yards. Lanata, Junior Alexander, 2 catches for 37 yards. Ty McCullough, Ty, 1 catch, 25 yards. Taco. Do you want to talk about Ty? You want to? I know you want to say it because I'm going to say it too.
That drop is brutal, man.
Yeah, catch this tiki ball. That's twice. Playing Idaho, by the way, when he's missed that wide open pass. Not in the first Idaho game, it was a crossing route, and Tommy put it right in his exactly where he put it in the last game. Couldn't have been in a better place.
That could have been an easier catch to make. That one he dropped, and he kind of disappeared after that too. Like I'm not sure.
We went to him right afterwards, and he let a ball sail right through his fingers.
Yeah, he dropped another one,
and on a 4th down or 3rd down conversion.
Yeah, no, I remember. So, anyway, we're not here to rag on Ty McCullough, but come on, buddy.
Kind of just a little bit, buddy. Just a little bit.
It turned out fine, but you can't be making those drops in a big time game. You gotta
be the man in big time positions, and that could have that was a play that would have just put a dagger in him too.
He's gonna come back and have a revenge game.
I hope so, man.
He's that kind of guy.
I love him. So, let's see here. Taco, 3 catches, 15 yards with a touchdown. Rylan Schlepp, he had 1 touchdown, 3 yards. That was featured on the ESPN Got Mossed segment. That was our first touchdown, by the way. Jason McMillan led the team. In tackles, 3 solo, 4 total. He had a half of a tackle for a loss. Hunter Charbonneau had 1 solo, 3 total, 1.5 sacks. Kenneth Iden, there you go. Who thought would? Yeah, Hunter Charbonneau, 1.5 sacks. That's depth there. You wouldn't think we'd be talking about Hunter Charbonneau. Kenny Iden, 1 solo, 2 total, 1 sack. Neil Daly, 2 total, 1 tackle for a loss. Logan Fredrickson, there you go. There's another name for you. Half of a sack. Miles Hanstead, 1 field goal, 46 yards. 7 for 7 on his extra points. That guy's just nails lately. Good job, Miles. Brendan Hall had 9 kickoffs for 551 yards with 6 touchbacks. Jack Lane for the Vandals was 20 for 30, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And Jordan Dwyer, 11 catches, 189 yards, and 2 touchdowns. There are your stats.
Dwyer was eating us up for a minute, man.
I was wondering if Montana just conceded Dwyer. Like, you're one guy, we'll let you beat us. Or try to beat us with 1 guy.
Well, frankly, Idaho could have kept doing it.
But no, they couldn't. They tried and they couldn't. I mean, he had 200 yards. They only have 19 points. They didn't, man. It didn't work.
Yeah, fair enough. But I don't know. I talked about this a little bit in the text group. I just think Idaho could have kept playing straight up with us a little bit longer than they did before they pulled out some trickery. They punched the Cats, man. That's my first thing about this game is Idaho came out and they punched us, and the Cats, a little shell shocked, I think, for a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe not shell shocked, but they were there. They felt it. The Cats haven't gotten punched in the first quarter like since New Mexico, really.
Cats were never down in this game. It was 7-7. And then 10-10. And then we scored 42 unanswered points after that. So not sure what to tell you, Thorny. Like, yes, they connected on a deep ball, and that's the second one Ryland Ort's been just burned on. So there's something going on there that Ryland Ort's not seeing right or not fitting right. That's beyond my pay grade.
Well, I've been saying it game after game after game that teams keep missing that open pass. It's not the first time that's happened. Somebody finally connected on it.
Thorny, this is crazy. 52-19. Let's just say, hey, Ryan, you just woke up from a coma. I said, man, hey, Thorny, great news. We won 52-19. And you go, give me some stats. And I would say, how many times do you think Idaho punted?
I mean, you saw a stat like that, you'd assume Idaho punted like 5 or 6 times.
Once.
Yeah.
We punted twice.
Bonkers.
They punted once.
And there's only 2 turnovers too, so that doesn't explain it. It's not like they were throwing.
No.
They turned the ball over
Jason
6 times like UC Davis did against South Dakota. That wasn't why.
They went for it 5 times on 4th down.
Lots of turnovers on downs.
They were 1 for 5 on 4th down.
Jason Eck,
At one point, they were 0 for 8 on 3rd down. But yet, Idaho has 17 first downs, and Montana State amassed 20 first downs. Now, there's, like I said, those last 2 drives they had when Chance Wilson was in 4th quarter, they matriculated it down the field. So there is a little bit of a skew there. But that's just weird, man. Only 1 punt, and we beat them 52-19.
It's a wild stat, really.
It is. It really is. It really is. But, here's the thing I think about from Montana State in this game. This is my key takeaway. Championship level teams make teams pay when you make mistakes. Montana State is pouncing on mistakes right now and capitalizing on them. And to me, that's a sign of a championship team.
Did Idaho score one of their touchdowns immediately after the interception? Like a 1-play touchdown?
Yeah.
That's pouncing on an opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy that the Cats doubled up Idaho's punts. We punted twice. They punted once.
So weird. It's the weirdest thing I saw.
It's a weird stat, man.
And when I saw it, I was looking at Montana State's website, and I was like, that's got to be wrong. Then I went back to ESPN and I was reading their drive-by-drive, and I was like, no crap. I can't believe that. That is the weirdest stat.
They outscored us in the 4th quarter.
So you and Zach would have been wrong because last week I was raising the, how many times does Jason Eck go for it on 4th down? 2.5, 3.5 over.
Yeah.
You guys were stopping at 4.5. It was 5. It was 5 times. You mentioned the post-game presser. He's like, we wanted to steal 2 possessions.
I have a question for you, Foley. I know that you are kind of you've texted some things over the years indicating that you kind of like Jason Eck's aggressiveness. Curious right now, what did you think of Jason Eck in that one? All this did is make me think like, man, I'm glad Jason Eck's not our head coach.
Okay. If Jason Eck is on one side of the paradigm or whatever that is over there, paradigm is not the right word. Rob Ash is on the other side. They're diametrically opposed.
I was like, you're not going to say Brent Vigen, are you? Because that's not true. Rob Ash, though, I'll agree with.
Yeah. I hated Rob Ash's approach to aggressiveness in football. I do not agree with how he managed that game. The timing of the onside kick, like you said, play it straight up. We're tied 10-10. Like,
At
see
that
what you
point, they're
got.
moving the ball.
Yeah.
And they're getting some success running the ball. Like, I don't know. I don't think Idaho wins. So don't get me confused on this. Don't get me crossed up. But they could have played us straight up a lot longer than they did. I think that was a little premature. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe save that for when you're down or even up a score. Something crazy.
This is what we're doing. This is what we have to talk about because we keep having these blowout scores and we're trying to find points to talk. And now we're trying to talk about when Idaho could have made some hay on us. And
we're talking about the teams that we smoke. Like, well, maybe if they did this, it would have been more competitive. Like, that's where we are. Let's talk about something fun then. Adam Jones, man. Adam Jones is having himself a year as the lone tailback, basically. We're having to use Tommy. We're having to use Tommy more. I think Tommy is running more, partially because it's the playoffs, and now he's getting down to the last few games of his career and pulling the shackles off a little bit. But I also think Tommy's got to kind of compliment him a little bit too. I think we kind of need it without Scotty Humphrey and Julius Davis. But Adam Jones is playing fantastic, man. He had 3 catches for 66 yards too.
Yeah, he's playing really good. He's putting a lot of weight on his shoulders, and Montana State's lucky to have such a developed freshman.
It's wild that he's a freshman. He doesn't play like a freshman.
No. My sons were asking me, he's like, dude, Dad, is Adam Jones going to go to the NFL? And I was like, he's got quite a bit of ball to play before he gets there, but there's a path I could see where he can. This game, I kind of wanted to go back a little bit and talk about a little bit about how it kind of played out. I want to talk about after 10-10. Montana State drives 8 plays, 38 yards, because that's when we just mentioned it. Coach Eck does his onside kick that only went like 3 yards.
That was one of the worst onside kicks I've ever seen.
Montana State, of course, takes advantage of it and scores. We're like, okay. To me, watching the game, I was like, okay, this is when we're going to start pulling away. And that's exactly what happened. It was almost kind of like you said, we got punched a little bit in the mouth, and we're like, okay, we're jostling back and forth, and then you're like, oh, you're going to do that? Just mistake number 1, done. And it was over. In a blink of an eye, we score right away. We kick it off. What happens after that? They have a fumble because they run a tunnel screen. The guy runs into number 75.
That's right. That was the next thing that happened. The butt fumble. People are calling it the FCS or the Big Sky butt fumble.
Brody Greavy recovers it, and we score again.
And it's a 14-point swing in the blink of an eye.
14-point swing in what? Then what happens after that? We force it. We force the punt. The only punt they have.
That's because it was like 3rd and like 11 or something, right? It was like,
yeah. We forced the only punt they have. They did not go for it on 4th down. They went for 4th down. At one point, it was like 4th and 17, and they went for it. Oh my gosh, Jason Eck. Some of the stuff he pulls is like, are you freaking kidding me? Anyways, what happens after that? Tommy Malott takes it 63 yards on a zone read play and just breaks their spirit. I was like, okay, 2-minute. We had like 30 seconds left or something like right. That Tommy talks about. He goes, we need a 2-minute offense. And I told Livia, I was like, before the drive goes, I go, if we somehow score here, it's over. And we do. He goes down to the 2-yard line. Adam Jones punches it in. Adam Jones' 4 touchdowns were all like, I think maybe if you count them up, under like 20 yards. He just had like 2-yard runs, 4-yard runs here and there to get into the end zone. And then what happens after break? We punt the ball off the first or second pass. John Johnson intercepts it. So in a matter of like 10 minutes of game time, we scored 28 unanswered points and just take their soul just like that.
Man, when John Johnson had the interception, I'm like, this game's over. I mean, I was feeling that kind of way in the second quarter, but that was like, all right, they're not coming back from this.
No, and then at that point, they're forced to go for it on every 4th down. Like, why wouldn't you?
No.
Like, your season's over if you don't. Like, you have to try to score on every offensive play you have.
They did line up for another punt.
Yeah. The guy tripped.
The guy tripped. And he probably had the first down. There was like really no one near him, which is like, shame on you, Bobcats. You should have been prepared for a fake punt in that scenario, and there was no one around him. It was lucky the guy fell to the ground.
No.
Not that it would have changed the outcome of the game whatsoever, but you like to see, like, there should have been good coverage on that. Like, these are the things you got to nitpick a little bit if you want to be a championship caliber team. Just because it's a blowout doesn't mean you can't get, lazy on these kind of things.
Oh, no. What do you think of our defense?
I thought they played pretty well. Like, they got pushed around and smoked a little bit there in that first quarter, though. Jordan Dwyer was feasting, and I thought they had something going with the running game, too. Like, they were moving the ball. And I was thinking, like, all right, the defense is getting tested. I mean, we have not given up very many first quarter touchdowns all year. And Idaho was moving the ball.
Do you think we weren't sending enough pressure early on?
Yeah, I think we were just kind of... Yeah, we weren't sending a lot of pressure. I don't think.
Yeah, it's like when we know it's a passing down, we can send more blitz packages. It's easier for us to just pin our ears back, like they say. We were trying to get home with 4. Pretty impressed with Jack Lane, to be honest. Like, he could sling it. I was actually more impressed with him than I thought I would be.
Yeah, no, he's got a very high arcing ball. He puts a lot of air under that football, but he puts it exactly. It just drops down where it's supposed to drop.
Yeah. Okay.
I was looking at this. I was like, how was I feeling in that first quarter? Because Idaho drove the ball down. They had an 8-play, 52-yard drive, but they ended up getting stuffed. So that's an example of the Bobcat defense all year, making plays when they need to. Mm-hmm. Idaho was moving the ball right down the field, and then all of a sudden they get 3rd and 1, and then a 4th and 1. So we stuffed them 2 times.
Yeah,
from a 1 yard, and one of those kind of looked like it was a first down on TV. I think it was the 3rd down. I was like, oh, but
in the red zone, it's a good stop.
Yeah, that was on the 18-yard line. So Idaho could have kicked a field goal and gone down 3-7. They don't, and then the Cats come back, and then they throw an interception. Tommy throws an interception on the next drive, and that's the 1-play, 55-yard wide open touchdown pass, and all of a sudden it's 7-7. Mm-hmm. And then that's when Idaho goes 6 plays, 60 yards on the next drive, and ends in a field goal. So at this point, Idaho was moving the ball. They got 52 yards on their first drive, 55 yards on their second drive, and then 60 yards on their third drive, and that ended up with 10 points. But then, so after that, this is where it gets kind of funny. Then they have the onside kick that's botched, and then their next drives go fumble, punt, halftime. They took a knee for 1 play, interception, turnover on downs, touchdown, field goal, turnover on downs. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they were moving the ball. If you want to add it up, they had 130, 140 yards of total offense on their first 3 drives. And then they do the onside kick, and then it just kind of falls apart. They could have played straight up longer. They had some juice. I think that kind of demoralized them a little bit.
Coach Eck said they would have to play a perfect game to beat us. And to me, Thorny, I think they were playing a perfect game early on.
I mean, if they would have got that fumble, if they would have got that onside recovery, game's definitely a different outcome. Well,
Think so?
Different in that it's closer. It's not a different victor, I don't think.
Yeah, no. And now looking back on this and seeing what I've seen from Idaho, I don't think there's any way
No.
Cats don't win that game.
I think the Cats were going to do their little avalanche at some point. Idaho just kind of helped us. But I don't think South Dakota is going to do any of that kind of stuff. They're not going to help us avalanche them. South Dakota's a whole different animal, and they're not going to make the same mistakes.
So you say. So you say. Hold on. Before we start talking South Dakota, went to school today. Saw Mr. Krotzer, whose son plays defensive line for the Vandals. This has been mentioned on the podcast. I shook his hand, and he was like, "Oh man, let's sit down and talk." So we had this week before Christmas, we had a staff breakfast this morning, and apparently, players knew about Coach Eck right before the game, and there was that football scoop tweet sent out at a really inopportune time for Vandals fans, like right at 5:30 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it was
not. It was
who
less
was
than an hour
doing that?
before kickoff.
Yeah, that was. I don't like that. Even as a Cat fan, I don't like that. That sucks. That sucks.
It doesn't feel good.
What does that do for a team when you know your coach is going out? Does it galvanize you in that moment, saying this is our last ride, or does it seed like apathy?
I think for me, I'd feel betrayed. That's just kind of how I'm wired, though.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Crotcher was saying. He was saying, Coach Eck was like galvanizing the team, saying, "Hey, man, we got something special going here in Moscow. Like, bet on yourself. I know you could take some money in the portal, but bet on yourself now. You can make more money in the NFL later if you come through and you do it the Vandal way, kind of stuff." And then he just jumps.
And then he takes the money.
Pieces out.
And he takes the money.
Yeah, he takes the money, exactly. The thing he was
preaching.
Yeah, exactly. So
a bit hypocritical, maybe.
Yep. A little bit frustrated in Vandaland for sure. Frustrated with the athletic department. So yeah.
I was trying to hit my unmute button. I am just failing on the soundboard tonight. But that actually kind of fitting for what we were doing there, so that's fine. I'll allow it. I'm not going to edit that. So, I don't know, man. It's got to be a bad time to be an Idaho fan. Like they were a good season. They were almost all of them were happy to have another chance at the Bobcats. There's a lot of talk from the fans about being healthy, and now they got their quarterbacks back, and then some other guys are all back. And not only did that not come to fruition, but then their coach leaves, and then their entire team basically is in the portal. So like things just in a span of a few hours just blew up in Moscow, just completely obliterated. That's gotta suck. I mean, I don't feel good about that at all. I feel bad for him.
How tenuous is it? How tenuous is it? Wow. All right. Well, yeah, it's like they've had three seasons with more than 10 wins, which was wild to me because they were wildly successful and like when we were like really little. But yeah.
When we were tiny little baby kids.
Babies. Little baby kids.
Baby kids. That's a phrase that's common. Baby kids.
All right, let's talk South Dakota for a little bit, and then let's get into some Golden Coolies.
So South Dakota comes into this game 11-2, losing on the season only to Wisconsin 13-27, which is pretty respectable. And then on the road at South Dakota State in overtime, 17-20. That's the only 2 losses South Dakota has had on the season. Interesting side note, everyone should probably know this by now, but you never know what people know. Like you and I fully are big Sky fans. We know pretty much everything. But their game against Portland State, they were supposed to go to Portland to play Portland State. It was canceled due to whooping cough. Whooping cough. Whoop, whoop. And, they would have smoked Portland State. Let's be clear. They might have been a 2 or 3 seed with one more D1 win on the resume. So it's kind of funny how that shakes out. That cancellation is probably the reason that they're the number 4 seed. They would have finished the season 10-2 regular season instead of 9-2. They only got 11 games in. The spread on the game opened at 7.5 points from what I saw on Hero Sports, and the over and under is 55.5 points. How do you feel about that spread? 7.5 point favorites at home.
Probably should be like 14 or 15.
I don't know about that. I was thinking I wouldn't be surprised if it creeps up to 10. I think 7.5 is pretty fair. I think South Dakota's good, man. I think they're a good football team.
No, I 100% think it is too. I'm just being a little bit just talking off the cuff, but again, I'm just looking at all the scores Montana State has amassed against every opponent, and we're just, I don't know, man. We're just waxing teams right now. And Coach Vegan said he watched this game, South Dakota State game, and he's like, well, he thought to himself, man, if we have to play South Dakota, that's going to be the toughest defense we've had to play yet. And so that's what Coach Vegan thinks. And so I say, just like I said, off the cuff, 14. 7.5 might be it. Montana State playing a full 4-quarter game against a team that's close. We haven't seen that.
No.
We've had a comeback win against the Lobos in the eon ago, it feels like.
But a little bit of a 4-quarter game against UC Davis, but
what's it going to feel like?
It's a little bit different how that transpired,
if
though.
We're going into the 4th quarter with a 7-point lead. How's that going to feel? Because we haven't been in that position.
No, we haven't, which is crazy.
It is really weird.
Not even in a slip-up, against a good team. We've just been comfortably winning football games, unless it was UC Davis game where it was a really weird series of events that allowed Davis to even get back into that game, or the Lobos, which is the first game of the season, and 2 fumble touchdowns for the Lobos against the Cats.
Here's where I think something where maybe having a bigger point spread, maybe betting the over on the 7.5 would be something I would be inclined to do. Is we're in Bobcat Stadium, man. It makes a difference. I think at this point right now, Bobcat Stadium is worth, what would you say?
I mean, I feel like it's worth
a
at least 10.
Yeah, okay. Conservatively, a touchdown.
Yeah, easily a touchdown.
I think Montana State's offense is the best offense left in the pool right now, the 4 teams that are left. I think the best defense is South Dakota State's defense. These guys are really good against the run. South Dakota, the Yotes are really against the run. They have the MVP of the Missouri Valley Conference on the defensive line, last name Grace.
You're not going to try that first name?
I don't even know what it was. I looked at it one time. I was like, yeah, I don't know what that is.
MI-QUISC McQueese?
There it is. 19 tackles for a loss, 10 sacks.
He's a big kid, man. 6'4", 255.
Yeah, it's a couple games I was watching. They're not trying to send a ton. They're going to try to play base or drop even more. So
yeah,
a couple times I saw them playing a 3-man front.
Well, I think they run a 3-4, right? Is that kind of what they're? I think they use Grace a little bit like a buck.
Yeah.
If you want to go familiar from Bobcat defenses of the past, I think he's a little bit like a buck. They have him listed as a RLB on the depth chart. He's not listed as a D lineman. He's like listed as a linebacker.
Dude, I mean, if you've been hiding under a rock, you probably haven't heard this stat, but they have 9 takeaways in the last game. UC Davis had Miles Hastings threw 5 interceptions, and they were still in this game somehow.
Right? It wasn't a blowout. In fact, it was 28-21. Davis scored to bring it into a 1-score game.
It was the weird, and they turned the ball over 3 times themselves. Their quarterback Bauman had 2 interceptions himself. That was a weird game.
And both those were in the red zone, right?
Yeah.
South Dakota should have smoked UC Davis, but they kept. That was a game of like, who wants to lose?
Yeah.
One of those weird games, like nobody wants to win. They just kept turning the ball over back and forth. That was a weird game to watch.
And so, go full circle back to the point spread. I guess what I'm trying to say is, when it comes down to a full 4 quarters of play, a sold out stadium, which it is. I got texted to that today. It's hard to pick against the Bobcats.
Really. On ESPN, like I feel like the fans know this.
Yeah.
Like they know it's national television. It's going to be primetime game. I do want to talk a little bit about
go for it.
What I kind of think a little bit. We're talking about their defense. I'll kind of continue on that a little bit though. They're good tacklers. I was watching their game against UC Davis. They're a really good tackling team. They got their big physical defense, and they got another all-conference guy that's 6'4", 275 is a defensive lineman, Nick Gase. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right. And the other first team the guy they have is Dennis Shorter, their safety, 5'10", 195. He's got 12 pass breakups on the year, and he's second on the team in total tackles. I think he's got like 57 or something, if I remember. I didn't write it down. I mean, they're a pretty typical looking Missouri Valley defense. They're geared to stop the run. They are the number 16 national. These are all national rankings. Number 16 total defense, number 10 rushing defense. But their passing defense is 46th, and their passing efficiency defense is 49th, and their third down conversion defense is 69th. And I don't have the stats in front of me. I'm pretty sure the Cats' third down conversion on offense is like top 3, if not number 1. They're converting like over 50% of their third downs. I feel like this is a game where if the Cats can win on first down and get into 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 6 even, it's going to be a long day for the Coyotes. Because we're not going to turn the ball over 6 times. I will bet a significant amount of money we won't turn the ball over 6 times. Like the mortgage on my house, like the title of my house, I'll bet on that.
So this becomes a weird game in my brain because I'm not sure what we do. Do we play like UT Martin where we're going to ask Tommy to pass for 300 yards, or is Scotchy coming back and we can have a dynamic run game? Or can we have a 1-2 punch with Adam Jones? I'm not sure.
I feel like it's going to be a little bit UT Martin-esque with a little bit less passing. I think Davis is stout and they're big, and I'm not sure they're fast. I could be wrong, but I think it could be a situation where we're trying to get to the edges more often. This could be a good Adam Jones game. And It could be a Tommy game in terms of Tommy takes it outside too, and more sweeps to McCullough. Get McCullough involved more in the running game a little bit in this one. Give him like 2 or 3, carries coming around. I think that's going to be the kind of the key. I think if they try and run straight into the teeth of the defense, especially with Humphrey, if he doesn't play, if he's not a go, that could be hard.
Pull all stops. Just go for it. No, I don't know what to say about
at this point. Yeah, Tommy Ball, if it exists in this iteration of Tommy, this is the time to completely unleash it. This is a good. South Dakota's a very good Missouri Valley football team. They're very. I mean, obviously they should have beat South Dakota State. They were very close to beating South Dakota State. They beat North Dakota State. This is like a really good litmus test for the Cats going into if they win this game, it'll show where we are, I think, with either SDSU or NDSU. If we smoke South Dakota, I'm going to feel real good about going into either one of those squads. But a win's a win against a team like this is like NDSU, SDSU. I don't want to say light, but kind of that vein, right? A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Is there
Not that dismissive, but I can't think of a better word.
narrative that you could craft around? Hey, this is South Dakota's first time into the semis. They're just kind of happy to be here. Like whatever's going for them is already gravy. Like this is really good.
I don't think I don't know. I don't like that narrative. I don't think that exists.
How about this narrative? Is there a narrative out there that says Montana State has this amount of seniors and they're going to do everything they can not to lose this game?
Yes.
Or I shouldn't say that, not to lose, to win this game.
Yes. That's a better way to phrase it. Yeah, and that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
We are the veteran team. They might be a bit more battle tested. You might be able to say that, but they haven't been to Bozeman. They haven't faced a quarterback who is as mobile as Tommy. It's the Missouri Valley. There's just a bunch of statues in that conference, man. There are guys like NDSU brings in like they have a 2-quarterback system. The ones that in that conference that are fast are like the Sean Chambers is type roles. They're not the main guy who's doing everything like Tommy. I don't think they're ready for Tommy's speed. You can watch as much film as you want on Tommy Malot's speed. Trying to tackle him is a whole different thing. I don't think they have the speed for it, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be able to contain him. But
this is not the 2021 Tommy either, when he is just throwing 50-50 balls down the sideline to Lance McCutcheon. This is in 2022 semifinal Tommy either, because that was in the frozen, like negative 30 degree. You couldn't, nobody's their normal self in that game.
This isn't even the the out of conference halfway through the season of this year, Tommy Malott. He stopped throwing the balls into the dirt.
This is the best Tommy we've seen.
It's the best Tommy we've seen. I've been slow, I think, to really appreciate Tommy Malott.
Yeah.
For years, I was like, this is like just more of the same at Montana State, where we got a guy who can't throw the ball but who can run. Like, it's just a smaller version of Chris Murray and Troy Anderson. Fast, just as good, just as dynamic, but can we just get a quarterback, please? And it wasn't until like last year I started to like really trust Tommy, and then this year I really started to like appreciate Tommy a lot. I was like, this guy is an all-time Bobcat, and if it is not palatable in the traditional sense, I think that's what held me back for those years. But man, it's this iteration of Tommy this year is extremely fun to watch, and I'm just really appreciative of everything he's done for the Bobcats.
Well, I'm appreciative of MSU developing him and allowing him to play for all 4 years and not giving up on him.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good point. And this could be Brent Vegan's the quarterback whisperer or whatever, right? He's Josh Allen. So maybe I don't know. They stuck with it and they developed him, and we're seeing it. We're seeing the fruits of that labor.
Just coming up, Bobcats. All right. Tackle some Golden Coolie questions.
We don't want to talk anything about South Dakota's offense.
Oh yeah, go for it, buddy.
I do want to talk a little bit about their offense.
All right.
I watched their games, and I didn't realize that their big running back, Travis Tice. Thank you. I was like, I'm going to pronounce it. I didn't realize he was just like a fullback and not really their main running back, but he seems to get the most amount of carries. But that dude's big, man. Mm-hmm. He runs mean, and he's hard to tackle. And he is, do I have his size here? I don't. But he's like 5'11", 215 or 220. He's a big kid. And the funny thing is that their other running back, Charles Pierre Jr., finished second in the voting for Offensive Player of the Year. And Travis, you just said it. I forgot it already. Tice. He finished fourth. So both their running backs, one of them was listed as a fullback, both finished in the top 4 voting in the Missouri Valley Football Conference for the Offensive Player of the Year. They have 3 offensive linemen on the first or second team, led by their first team center, Joey Lombard, who is 6'5", 305. Their second team left tackle, Joe Cotton, is 6'7", 315. And their right tackle, Bryce Henderson, who is also second team, is 6'8", 320. Their offensive line is huge, dude. It's massive. And that was evident when I watched them play UC Davis. UC Davis could not get really anywhere near their quarterback, Aiden Bauman. And if you give that guy time,
he's back there like a statue.
He does. And he is a statue. He has negative rushing yards every single year he's been at South Dakota, 3 years, all negative, like negative 30, negative 40 on the year. So he's not going to beat you with his legs. But he is he's 6'5", 245. He's hard to bring down. And he's going to make those tough throws. And we got to make him uncomfortable somehow. We don't have to sack him, but we got to make him uncomfortable. And maybe he doesn't have to throw an interception either. We just got to misfire.
No. Can we get him off his spot is what I'm wondering.
Yes. And that's one of my biggest keys is this game is their offensive line is probably going to be the best one we've seen all year. I think it will be the best offensive line we've seen all year.
This reminds me of 2021 when we were going up against South Dakota State. And we were just lauding their offensive line, which was a badass offensive line. But we overcame.
We did. And this is at home. And we've seen teams melt in Bozeman.
Yeah. The emotion that we will play at home, there's something to it, man. There is something to it. The first time we get to that guy and we get to him and sack him or just mess him up somehow, and the crowd is behind him, it's going to create that little blood in the water. And Montana State, just like they did last week, they just feast on that, man. It's like I said at the very beginning of this podcast, Montana State has capitalized on people's mistakes all year long. And that's a sign of a championship team.
Absolutely. And then, Bauman did throw 2 interceptions against UC Davis, but he only threw 2 the entire year before that. I don't think we're going to be able to count on him. I don't think we'll be able to count on them turning the ball over, really. They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot like Idaho did with silly play calling. They're not going to be calling trick plays. We're going to have to beat them straight up.
Somebody said in our text thread, they haven't played outside since October.
That would be hilarious. I think that actually is a decent factor to consider.
Yeah. I agree, buddy. And I didn't know where I was going with that, but that's interesting.
Yeah. Lots of domes. I mean, obviously they have a dome. North Dakota has a dome, and North Dakota State all have domes. So
they have one of the receivers is ultra fast. He's a shorter guy.
It must be Quaron Adams. Must be who it is because he has 31.1 yards per catch.
Yeah.
He had 1 catch against Davis for 71 yards. He only has 17 on the year, but he's got
ridiculously fast.
Carter Bell is their main guy. He's got 50 catches, 753 yards. I think they are getting their first team all conference tight end back for this game. He's missed the last couple games. JJ Galbraith. He's tied for second on the team with 26 catches. He'll be back, I believe. I saw on Twitter from USD fans, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Another weapon for Bauman. He's a big kid, man. The big quarterback. He's a lefty, if you didn't know. But South Dakota looks like every other Missouri Valley Football Conference offense that you see. They're going to try and run the ball, and they're going to set up the pass through the run. They are 3rd in the country in yards per completion, but only 45th in passing. So the classic taking deep shots after getting successful runs. That's what they do. That's exactly what South Dakota State does. That's what North Dakota State does. They're going to take their shots, man. And I get worried that there's going to be a wide open guy streaking past Ryland Ord again. Not to pick on Ord, but it seems to be Ord.
I just don't know if they can stop all the facets of our offense.
Yeah, I'm more worried about their offense kind of being too physical and actually being able to maintain drives and not shoot themselves in the foot than I am about our offense moving the ball a little bit. I think it'll be much closer. It'll be a 4-quarter game for sure. I don't think we're going to blow this team out, but
4-quarter game for sure. It's
a weird thing to say, but we'll actually have to, play full 4 quarters of football.
We haven't done it. We haven't done it.
It's not cocky. It's the truth. We just straight up haven't done that very often at all. We took the starters out against Idaho at 11 minutes left in the fourth, 10 minutes, somewhere in that range.
If there's a fan listening to this podcast and they made it through an hour and 15 minutes, congratulations, by the way. But you're going to hear me say, by the way. Yeah, thank you. You're going to hear me say this. I think there's a chance we steamroll these guys. I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm just, hey, there's 14 games out there outside of a fluky UC Davis game. There hasn't been a game where it's been out of our control.
The only 2 close games we've had have both been on the road.
And even the Davis game, they weren't even in control. They just were. We had that game for all of 3.5 quarters. And then it was just like this fluky, weird events that happened. You're like, wow, okay, that happened. Wow, okay, that happened. I don't know, man. It's just it's
like you always say, it doesn't have to be close.
Yeah, and if it is, I still bet on the Bobcats. The resolve, the senior leadership, that's what it comes down to. That's what I've conceded myself to. Like, Tommy Malot's not going to go down without giving it his all. And if he's giving it his all, everybody else is. Brody Greavy, Ryan Leonard, you name it, all down the line. And then inspiring the young guys. Marcus Ware's a senior, but I mean, just it's a special group. It really is. Okay, let's talk Golden Coolies.
Okay,
all right, buddy. Run the ball. A new poster on Bobcat Nation says,
"True, run the ball." True.
Yeah. 10 posts. Thoughts on Eck leaving versus the Big Sky Conference?
I think it's bad for the Big Sky Conference. I think he's a good coach. I want Idaho to be good. And asking the Idaho fan, they don't trust their AD to make any sort of good hire. So Idaho might plummet a little bit.
Interesting inflection point for Idaho right now. You could probably draw a parallel between this moment for them and then when Jeff Choate left for Montana State. Although I've heard Eck wanted out from the Vandals because of the athletic department. That's kind of just some rumblings I've heard. What I'm trying to say is we're not in the position right now if Jeff Choate doesn't leave. We didn't get to hire Vegan if Jeff Choate didn't leave. So
the grass can be greener, but
is it their moment? Yeah. Is it their moment to hire their version of Vegan? So does it hurt? Yes, I think leaving the Big Sky Conference.
I think one of the guys in the Big Sky Podcast Network did a little screenshot of like a Excel spreadsheet that he put together, like the win-loss record of all the various coaches through all the various programs that their AD has hired, and they have like a 300 winning percentage or something terrible. Wow. They're just not having luck with good hires. Jason Eck was one of the lone ones. That's why Idaho fans are kind of devastated by it.
Yeah.
The lone win of the hire of, I think, Terry Golick is the AD, if I'm remembering correctly, but it's bad. I think it's bad to lose him for the conference, if that's the question. I don't remember what the question was.
Yeah, room for the... Ooh, a cat just jumped up on you. Okay.
Gato.
Boquinho.
I just see a tail on your screen. Just...
Buy or sell, Tommy passes for 225.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a close one. I'm probably going to sell that.
I'm going to buy.
I'd like to think that with the defense kind of susceptible to the pass, that he could. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah,
Tell me if Rohan Jones is back or not.
it's a good point. It's a really good one. That's a really good one. All right, Red Clouder, another new poster, post number 14. Appreciate you guys.
They
by the
create
way.
accounts just to talk to us. That's very
That is really
means
cool.
a lot right here in the heart, in the cockles.
All right. Multiple staged question from Red. He says, would you rather have the 2021 Troy Anderson playing on the 2024 Bobcats, or would you rather have the 2024 Tommy Malott playing on the 2021 Bobcats?
That's a fantastic question. I think I would have rather had the 2024 Tommy on the 2021 squad.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Because
Because 2024 Tommy above anything else stays healthy.
Yeah.
And that alone helps that 2021 squad. Because you got that. Oh, man, I forgot. Tommy was doing fine in that national championship game. Ugh.
Yeah. Buy or sell. This is all from Red Clouder. Buy or sell. The Bobcats passed for more yards than the University of South Dakota.
Oh, that's a good question, too.
I'm selling.
So you think they're passing for more than 225?
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it. I'm saying the Bobcats pass for more yards.
Whoa. That's big time. I like it. All right. Bold move. Okay. Buy or sell. He says the Bobcats rush for fewer yards than South Dakota.
Oh, man, I'm tempted to buy that. I am tempted to buy that. I think South Dakota's going to be able to run the ball a little bit on the Cats, yeah. I do.
No, this is wait a second. This is rushing.
I know it's
rush for fewer yards.
I know.
I'm selling.
I
Bobcats are going to rush for more.
So if you're saying the Cats are going to throw for 225, what do you think the Cats are going to rush for?
I don't know, but the Bobcats have not been out rushed this year.
Do you know that for a fact? You're just tucking at your
damn
booty.
Sure. Pretty damn sure.
I don't know. What was Idaho? Yeah, I don't know.
Idaho ran for 143. We did 280.
Have we played a team in the top 10 rushing offense this year? Who would it have been?
Landon Larison?
Davis may have been. Davis was our lowest output rushing all year.
Their defense is really good. I thought Davis's defense is stout.
Okay, we did hold Davis to only 92 rushing yards. We only rushed for 159, so that was the closest probably disparity. 159 yards, that just seems icky, right? No, I'll sell it. I guess the Cats should outrush him, but
okay.
If we're thinking Tommy's going to throw the ball more, definitely have a lower. I think we'll have a lower rushing output than we're used to.
Okay,
but I think it'll still be higher.
Who's more important? This is Red's last question. Who's more important to return from injury this week, Scotchery or Rohan?
Scotchery. I really want Rohan back, but I want a running back who can run between the tackles into the teeth, do the zone read, inside zone stuff that we love to do.
Yeah.
Plus, it can't just be Adam Jones. He's gonna wear down, I feel.
Yeah. He's got to make it one more game, and then we got a couple weeks off. Yeah, probably say Scotchery. I mean, they kind of are the similar poison to what we want to do. Like if we have Rohan back, we could open up the pass game. If we have Scotchery back, we can open up the run game. I think that for Tyler Walker and company, this is going to be kind of a feel out game. It's cool that we can go both ways.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Tommy's proven that we can have a 300 pass game.
I feel like Tyler Walker's done a really good job of game planning each game individually for the opponent.
Yeah, he's done a phenomenal job.
He's done a great job. He's really come into his own. We were kind of, I feel like at the beginning of the year, you could kind of tell he was kind of feeling his way out a little bit, but he's on it, man. He's on it now.
All right. Yeah, I think that's all we got.
And if we want to pass the ball more against South Dakota, whose potential weakness is pass defense. I mean, you kind of want Rohan for that. So, but I still say Scotchy.
That's all I got on Bobcat Nation.
I didn't put anything on Twitter, so I got nothing.
All right. So, yeah. Red Clouder, man. 14 posts. We're going to give it to you, bro.
Yeah. Good questions, man.
Yeah.
Like it.
Send us your email or contact us on Bobcat Nation. We'll get you a golden coolie. All right, buddy.
Do you have any left to mail?
Yeah. Got like 5. I could relinquish one.
You are just hoarding those last 5.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Anything else we want to say about Idaho, South Dakota, the season to date? The Gato beer.
It's crazy time in the Big Sky. I mean, just quick mention, Michael Vick being mentioned for the Sac State job is wild.
Apparently that was all just fluff and just out of nowhere, but
and then being reported
hilarious.
That Sac State has $50 million in NIL seems wildly inaccurate.
Yeah, Montana Parlay retweeted like, "Is the $50 million NIL in the room with you now?" It's skeptical to say the least.
Yeah.
Shout out Parlay, Montana Parlay.
How long did you, after hearing Michael Vick's name, did you think of Ed McCaffrey in Northern Colorado?
0.2 seconds.
Thank you.
Like immediately, like, oh, we've seen this play out in the Big Sky before. This ain't our first rodeo. It all started with Jerry Glanville, which was not a player, but a famous name. Portland State stunk it up. Ed McCaffrey, famous name, stunk it up. Michael Vick would probably stink it up too.
Is Michael Vick even coached? I didn't even look at his bio. Is he even coached?
Who cares?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, like Sac State. If I'm Sac State, I don't care if Michael Vick's coached or not.
I do. Like Sac State's got big plans right now.
That's true.
They're opening up like all this new stadium stuff, and
that's true. Northern Colorado, Northern Colorado was more of a whatever. Let's drum up some support. Sac State, you're right. They should make a better hire.
Yeah, Andy Thompson. You know what happened to him?
Well, yeah, went and joined the staff at Stanford under Troy Taylor.
Yeah, that's right. I was testing you there. See,
but
good job.
I think he got out because he knew he was going to run that ship into the ground. I mean, he already kind of did.
Whoa. Can we talk the Grizzlies?
I made a joke in the Big Sky Podcast Network that Andy Thompson really Charlie Regaled it.
Oh man, it's like an hour 30 into this. This is long for us.
An hour 30 in, and there's a Charlie Regal mention. Charlie Regal, everyone.
Talk a little bit about the Grizzlies, a little bit.
Do it. We're all over the place. I try to get us out of here, but here we are.
Dude. Holy cow. The Grizzlies right now. Coach Alk. Couldn't
happen to a better guy.
No, I'm trying to say, because I'm never going to be able to say it the way Mike Nugent said it. In the current iteration of college football, what you need for a head coach, I could not think of a person so opposed to the current needs of a program than Bobby Howell. Diametrically opposed to their needs right now. Hey, think about this, Thorny. Come back to the Montana State side. Coach Vegan today, one of the things he actually did say in his presser was he addressed the portal. He goes, we've been way more proactive this year, having these conversations with our players about the portal, and it's put us in such a better position for these different reasons he laid out. He goes, we weren't having those conversations last year, and it kind of hurt us, he said.
What kind of conversations did he mention? Like, what are they talking about?
I don't know. Just like from what I was kind of like picking up, he was kind of taking a pathway of like, what's best for all the players? Like, what's it look like for your future at Montana State? What could it look like for your future outside of Montana State? Like having these open conversations with the players. I don't think Bobby Hauck is even doing that. Like from everything we've heard, it's like, You don't want to be a Grizzly? It's a privilege to be a Grizzly.
There's
You
the
don't even
door.
want to be there.
There's
a
the
door. Yeah, don't let it hit you on the rear end on the way out. In those two different attitudes of it's a privilege and the way Montana State is taking it, I don't know, man. It's just I think the Grizzlies are in a tough spot right now with Coach Hal.
I mean, we'll see what he can do next year. I think it's a very important year for Bobby Hauck next year.
Yeah.
If he can get it back on track, if he can, they had a lot of guys transfer out. They didn't sign that many high school guys. They're going to be very reliant on transfers going into next year.
They have 8 home games.
I mean, yeah, they're going to have a good season, I guess, just based on their wimpy
8
schedule.
Home games against really nobody. They play Idaho again, but Idaho is going to be a shell of itself. They play us at in the Cat Grays, but I don't know, man. It's just I'm so thankful for where Montana State is right now versus kind of the coaching purgatory that they seem to be handcuffed over there.
Yeah, they're kind of like Idaho in terms of the transfers, except they still have their head coach. And
they really need to make a move on the coach. Like is what Montana needs to do is move on from Coach Hal, but they won't. And it's just this weird, like I said, coaching purgatory that they're in. So
I say he can stay there as long as he wants, forever.
Yeah, go Coach Hal.
Yeah, yay, coach.
Go lose 5 games and get another contract.
First round exit, buddy. Second round exit.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Let's get out of here.
That was a doozy. I'm excited for Saturday, man. It's going to be a fun Catterday for Cat fans in Bozeman. I hope everyone's going out to the game. We're jealous. We got to go to the UT Martin game. That was a blast. We're not going to be able to go again. Maybe we'll see everyone in Frisco? Question mark. Thanks, everyone, for listening all season long. Again, we really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone for putting in the Golden Coolie questions, submitting those questions. They're really fun to answer, and we appreciate each and every one. Sorry if we don't get to everyone. It's not always intentional. Sometimes we don't have a producer, all right? We forget things. It happens. You can always find us on Twitter, RRCatcast. You can find us on the web, rrcatcast.com. You can always find us on Bobcat Nation under our recurring Golden Coolie thread, or our Catcast thread. Fully. Let's get out of here, man. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cat.